Greetings and salutations, happy listeners. Welcome to SMT, a brand spanking new podcast that is part of the Travelog Media Network. I'm Natty.
And I'm Nigel.
And we're curators of all things on the fringe, bordering on the edges of reality and the surreal.
We're here to question that which questions reality. We'll be debunking the debunkable and unbunking the legit, and asking, what makes the things the things?
Yes, all the things. Let's set off on the maiden voyage
of the HMS SMT.
In this epi, we're deconstructing between fact and fiction of the Mothman, Pakanaho, Chupacabra, and the Okapi, or otherwise known as cryptids.
And what exactly are cryptids?
Well, they're animals that have been claimed to exist, but haven't been actually proven to exist. So,
I see.
Yes. So, Nigel, would you like to jump right in with the Mothman?
The Mothman, right? The Mothman. Now, I have to set the stage for the Mothman, and I want to tell you about West Virginia, where some of the original sightings were. And have you ever been to West Virginia, Natty?
I haven't, Nigel.
Okay. Well, it's I've driven through West Virginia, and it's just a very creepy, eerie place. I had this sensation driving through it on a couple of different occasions, just that something was kind of following you around, lurking in the forest.
Really?
Yeah. So I was just praying that I would not run out of gas in West Virginia and have to
not someplace you want to go at night then.
No, I didn't have that interest in staying too long in West Virginia. And no offense, but if anyone lives in West Virginia, that's, I don't mean to.
How late were you out at night?
Well, it wasn't. It was during the day. May actually been like late evening. Like it was, but it wasn't dark. It wasn't yet dark, and I can't even imagine driving through West Virginia at night. That would just add an extra layer to it. It just, yeah.
We must go there together.
Well, okay. If you, I'm just giving you a fair warning.
Just because you said it's not someplace you want to go, now I want to go.
Well, okay. Yeah. Duly noted. Okay, so you've been warned.
Okay.
But the reason I would bring up West Virginia because this is the location of some of the first Mothman sightings. And Mothman, of course, is like one of the, I would say he's I don't know, by now, as far as in the cryptid world, and I feel like this is a subject that's gaining a little bit more interest, but this is one of the more well-known, I think. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong about that, but if you know cryptids, you know the Mothman, and but we're going to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Okay, so near the Ohio border, and this is in 1966, where there were various sightings of the Mothman. 1966.
So there any correlation to the Flower Children?
I don't know I'm not sure flower power had reached this particular geographical area. I could be wrong about that. I could be, but
couldn't be like hallucinogens. Okay. All right.
There is a possibility. That is one hypothesis, yes. Whatever the case may be, there were various sightings of this creature who was glowing coal red eyes, was one of the defining features. Everyone described
Wow.
these burning coal red eyes.
The hellfire within.
Hellfire, yes, hellfire. Think hellfire, and you got this, and this creature, this humanoid. Thank you, Natty. Humanoid. Yes, it was a humanoid figure, but it was much taller than the average human. 6-7 feet, perhaps.
Oh my!
Yeah, it was tall.
Very long.
It had a very large wingspan.
Gigantic.
Yeah, black. And I think there were two couples out one evening, just, run out and about for a good bit of fun. And, they both witnessed this creature and, just hovered above in front of their windshield and and then went up or something. And, you can imagine it gave them quite a shock, and they turned around and got on the highway and they noticed that it was pursuing them, and so they sped off as fast as they could. And this was, I think it was a 57 Chevy. They were just bolting down the highway. This thing was pursuing them, didn't have any trouble keeping up with them, and they were going full speed. So whether or not there were any drugs involved, they did later report this sighting to the police. So
okay, they were not afraid of what they might have taken that night.
Yeah, nothing like a little adrenaline to kind of bring things back into clearer focus.
Perspective, yeah.
So, but these weren't the only people that saw this thing. There were a lot of sightings of the Mothman. All throughout the year, and then they sort of stopped, and then another. There was, I think, another incident in 1967 when there was a tragedy occurred on the bridge in December of that year, and
it was like a whole year ahead, and that's kind of what they depicted in the movie that we watched together.
Yes, we're gonna get into that. We did there was an accident in 1967. A bridge collapsed. 46 people were killed. 2 of the bodies were never found. And this may have sort of faded into obscurity had it not been for this author, John Keel, who is his most famous work, of course, is The Mothman Prophecies. And I have not read the book, The Mothman Prophecies. So
neither have I.
We'd love to hear from listeners. If anyone who's read the book, we'd love to hear from you. We did watch the movie, however, and what did you think, Natty? What was?
Well, what I got from it was that Mothman, while people saw it, seemed to be more of almost like an apparition rather than a. I don't know that anyone actually described it besides that gal who saw it in the tree as a solid figure. Because because of the way it would appear, and they all did describe the red eyes, the eyes of hellfire, but they didn't. I don't know. I would like to read the actual articles that this is based on, that his work is based on. It almost, like I said, it just almost seemed more apparition, kind of like the Mothman of Tibet. They have their own version of Mothman.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
It's what the movie was sort of less. I don't know. Like you said, it was like sort of less focused on the actual creature. Like there were some drawings of it from the woman who played the wife of Richard Gere's character, and she had sketched it in her notebook and that kind of thing. But like apart from that, there's like this other character. It was like I wasn't quite sure if that was supposed to be the Mothman or if that was another phenomenon happening. Anyways, just really.
No, he did say it was. Yeah. He believed it was the Mothman because he finally did have, didn't he? He had a vision.
Yeah. Of
it, and then his ear bled.
Yeah. So in these visions, they were like predictions of tragedies. So it was like the question was, you know, is this a harbinger of doom, or is it some creature that's trying to, you know, warn people of, you know, warn them of the harm, the tragedy to come, and maybe they can prevent it, or at least that was the idea.
I took it as that the Mothman is friendly and trying to warn people because he kept saying, like that one gal, he's like, you know, wake up, number 47.
Right.
You know, and I just, you know, compared to what I've read, other articles, seen in documentaries about Mothmen around the world, like the child eating Tibetan Mothman. Our version is just seems, I mean, he's a formidable character, but he seems more of a, I don't know, a warning sign. And I take that as, you know, take care, kind people. You're about to all die kind of thing. Even though it's, you know, doomy.
Yeah, it's hard to get a sense of that. What was the message? Like there was another podcast I listened to recently. Like this is why I'm thinking that there could be a resurgence of interest in the Mothman and other cryptids. But there was another podcast where some writer journalist was kind of talking about one of the reports. Someone who had reported encountering this cold character who is in the movie. And I can't remember the name, for something cold, who was communicating with him telepathically. And he was describing this experience where he arrived in this, I don't know, spaceship, maybe some kind of craft that was not, it was unknown. Yeah. So, but now,
it's all the aliens.
Yeah. Well, we can only guess. It's certainly mysterious. But you're describing this other thing, this other Mothman from Tibet. Now, what's
it's called? They call them Tulsas, Tulsa, and I remember reading there was a particular village, you know, that it was concentrated in, and again, in their actual accounts, the people describing what they were seeing, that it was more of an apparition, but the shape of it, the wingspan, it crouched more and waited at night for the kids. So a lot of the villagers would never let their children out because, you know, they would be, you know, eaten. Unpleasant.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, that...
They described red eyes, but there was no warning. It was like, well, you've let your children run amok, and now I'm going to eat them. Yes.
Yeah.
So, not a pleasant Mothman.
That's just that.
No
warning.
Nothing.
Well, so there, while there is a little bit of ambiguity about the intent of the Mothman sighted in U.S. And there's no mistaking that this Tibetan creature is out to get your children and is very most definitely evil.
Evil. Yeah, he is evil. Very evil and is angry about something. Whereas I look at our Mothman as, hello, shiny people.
Our beloved Mothman. Well, it might be something as like, you know, there's always going to, when you're talking about cryptids, anytime you're talking about cryptids, there's always going to be the more level-headed, like more science based, rational explanations for what could be occurring. And one of those is that what people were in fact seeing was a sandhill crane.
A crane.
It was just very large bird, not native to West Virginia, but there could have been. It was possible that these sandhill cranes could have been migrating into West Virginia at this particular time, and that's what, in fact, people were seeing, at least according to some people.
But wouldn't you see a beak?
Yeah, a good point. Very good point. You would think somebody would have described, and it had a beak, and this is not what people were, this is not the description. It did have a large wingspan and, red markings around the eyes, so the general shape might have been similar to what people were describing, but
and yet I have to go in and I have to think about that. And even if it had red markings around the eyes, at night, red is very hard to pick up on,
right?
Unless it's glowing with hellfire.
Yeah, the unmistakable hellfire.
The unmistakable. I mean, if it's glowing, it's got to be hellfire.
Right.
You have some glow sticks. Those are fun. But
yeah, well, we're going to talk about some more, not hellfire exactly, but a menace to, at least a possible menace to humans. But we're going to talk about some other creatures that you definitely want to be aware of after this short break. SMT is a member of the Travelogue Media Network. If you're enjoying this podcast, consider supporting our work with a purchase from the online shop at Spring. You can find that link in the show notes. And as a special thanks to listeners on International Podcast Day, we're offering a 10% discount on all merch on the online shop through September 30th. Just enter the promo code IPD10 at checkout. Offer expires October 1st.
Okay, we're back from our break and ready to explore the legend of the Pakanaho. And
what did you say?
The Pakanaho.
Ah, the Pakanaho. Okay, I thought you said something else.
Oh, I'm sure you did, Nigel. I'm sure you did.
All right, what is this? What's this creature about?
Well, this is a new cryptid to me. And it's a mythical creature that is a legend that originated out of the Yakama tribes located in the northwestern United States, specifically up in the Washington area. And let me point out, the Washington area, let's face it, a lot of strange things come out of there.
It's the water.
All that dampness just blessed us. Right. But it's so fun because when I was looking up how this originated, I was brought to this author that I've been speaking to, Adrienne Mayer, and she wrote all this information is found in her book Fossil Legends of the First Americans. Again, that is by Adrienne Mayer, and she's talking about in her book how the name translates to rough-looking bird or crooked beak, and it's this large prehistoric bird that is flightless, runs around on the ground, and has this thick beak that resembles those puffin penguins that are off the coast of Washington. Have you ever seen them?
Puffins. Yeah, I get you. Those
little faces.
Right.
And, well, this bird, this Pakanaho, actually, I think it's very cute because it's got this puffin-like beak. It's huge. Now, it does stand 6 to 7 feet and weighs in at about 350 pounds and has, the big, beefy ostrich body with velociraptor-type legs and feet. I mean, it is a little scary, but it's kind of cute. The kinds of tracks that it was described by the tribal members were 3-toed tracks. And apparently there were some members of the Yakama tribe that visited a museum up north and that had a display of an actual prehistoric bird named the Diatryma gastronus. And they freaked out. And they said that the bird on display was the thunderbird of their legends, or the Pakanaho. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So now there is some discrepancy as to whether they believed the bird was also considered a terror bird. And yes. After reading more about all these different giant birds that many tribes have described as either thunderbirds or terror birds, they kind of have two different views of them in their mythology. And if you're dealing with the thunderbirds, and depending on the region or the tribe itself, they can be symbols of power, protection, or they can be warnings of death and or war. But the terror birds are exactly what it sounds like. They're going to eat you.
They're going to terrorize you and eat you. Yeah.
And eat you.
Yeah.
I don't know, more creatures that may eat you. And the related legends of other terror birds are like the Kalu of the Micmac tribe in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island area, and the pterodactyls of Aztec mythology, otherwise known as the Quetzalcoatlus.
Okay.
They've been found, and that was very interesting to read that Aztecs, had something going on with the pterodactyls. I had no idea. This was all new to me.
Who knew?
But they've found a fully intact pterodactyl as far north as Texas in 1971. But the Aztecs, they described these pterodactyls as their flying the flying serpents that are all feathered, and they consider them deities. Yes, so they feared it and they considered it a bird of terror, but they still worshipped it in a way, considering that it was a god of some sort.
Right.
But remember that the thunderbirds are of the northern tribes are the same symbols that are on top of those totem poles within different tribes in the northern territories. But the discrepancies occurs as to whether the Yakama believed that the Pakanaho is a threat to them or not. And you have to question how they see this cryptid, as it is. They're thinking, because they identified it as the Diatryma gastronus, that they had, being the Pakanaho, was an actual species that lived during the Paleocene epoch.
Okay.
And when they did chemical analysis of a fully intact skeleton of that bird, the gastronus, that they found in Wyoming in 1916, the data that they collected suggested they were herbivores, so that they weren't necessarily into eating us. They were more peaceful, very peaceful.
Right. Like a tomato.
Yes.
Rather than humans.
Spinach.
Yeah.
You don't need to, versus the man-eating legends of birds that even come out of, other cryptid descriptions, or those cassowaries down in New Guinea and Australia. They're actual birds that are very reptilian looking, and they will run at you and rip you open.
Oh my God. What?
Nigel!
What is that? What? Oh my God! What is it?
I told you
Who
not
let it in
to
here?
bring them.
Who let it in here?
I told you not to bring them.
Oh my!
Quit that! Could you feed him? Go feed him and put him back.
I think it wandered off. I are going to have to call
Don't let him run amok.
Control. All right.
Don't let him run amok.
Oh, jeez.
Nigel,
we got some issues in the studio, so we'll try to get that under control. We're gonna go to a short break, and we'll come back.
Call animal control.
Just a moment.
Trying to finish. What?
Do you have a comment or question about something you heard on this podcast? We'd love to hear from you. Email us at nigelandnatty@gmail.com. Or if you're feeling spunky, you could call our podcast message line in the U.S. 303-731-6104. 303-731-6104. Please leave us a specific message, and we may include it in a future episode. All right, so we've got another cryptid to talk about, and this one is feared by many, and it's easy to understand why.
Tell us.
And of course, this would be the chupacabras, or the chupacabra, or the chupacabras, el chupacabras, or something like that. Yeah. And some of you may not know, like the meaning. It is Spanish, but you might not necessarily know that. I think a lot of people are familiar with that word or have heard it, but might not be familiar with the meaning, which is okay. So it's a Spanish origin. The word is chupacabra, so that comes from chupar, to suck, and cabra is a goat. So goat sucker is this is basically what it does.
Not derogatory at goats, but they will come at you.
Yeah. So if you have goats or other livestock, if you have cows or chickens or pigs or whatever it might be, you're gonna want to keep an eye on them, just because there have been reports of the chupacabras victimizing these animals and leaving them bloodless and just it's hard to explain. It's
what does it look like?
Well, it's interesting because there are varying descriptions of the characteristics. But I'll start with the more, I guess, earthly manifestations, which is dog-like. It's very distinctly canine. And lots of people, if you've Googled this and looked for images, I'm sure you've seen, you can see people who have reported seeing this thing as like, that's the chupacabra. I've caught it on camera, or you've seen images of it, and it does look like a dog. It's
dog.
It's just it's all it is. A dog with mange is, it's like
mange.
It's mange. This is the thing. Well, it's like doesn't have.
This is not something you want to go out and pet.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Mange,
not at all. Yeah. It doesn't have any hair, so it's a hairless dog. So this one explanation for that would be this
kind
is
of like
a dog.
Those minion-like cats.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Dr. Evil. Is that the one?
Yes. Dr. Evil.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that kind of a thing. And people have there have been actual bodies. I think on the if you look at the History Channel series on YouTube, you can see the
like on Monster Quest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see what these things look like, and some people have like captured them and killed them under. There was one stuck under the guy's porch, and he shot it, and so, and they did tests on it and things, but I don't think they were. Yeah, but this, so this is one, manifestation. This is they're distinctly dog-like. And these are the ones that are generally, I'm going to say generally because I you could always do more research on it, but these are ones that have been reported in the southern U.S. and in Mexico. But then there's also another type of chupacabras that is very distinct from this canine creature we're talking about. So this is and these are been reported specifically in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And this version is more otherworldly. It is definitely like an alien type of creature.
Again with the aliens, yes.
Yeah, it's
they are responsible for everything.
Yeah, they're visiting. They're here. They're
seeding our planet with evil.
Yeah. So this version of the chupacabras is like an alien. Is kind of kangaroo thing. It's got it's hopping around. Some people have reported, and it has spikes all along its back.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah. It's just really it's just it's beyond yeah. You just don't want to run into one of these things, especially if you're a cattle. Yeah, especially if you're a cattle rancher. I don't know if there may have been. I think there may have been some reports where they're trying to go after humans, but I think mainly they're interested in sucking all the blood out of your livestock. So
okay.
And
have they tried? But they don't have any corpses of these particular hopping.
Not that I know of. I think it's just eyewitness reports mostly. They're like drawings of sketches and things like that. But I don't think there's any other evidence. They don't have bodies, I don't think. But the consistent thing, whether it's the dog-like creature or the more alien type, the one thing that is consistent is what it's doing to the victims. So it's, again, they're not being eaten. The animals are not being eaten. It's mostly like cows, goats, pigs, chickens, things like this, right?
Yes.
And their bodies are left, relatively untouched, right? The thing is, it's like they're drained of blood, and they have, varying puncture wounds. So something is sucking the blood out of it.
Well, that sounds more like a vampire.
Well, yeah. I mean,
vampire folklore.
Yeah.
Because there is no natural predator. If they were trying to blame a natural predator, be it mountain lion, bird of prey, that would leave. I mean, they're pretty much happy to grab a body and run.
Yeah.
And say,
delicious meal, yum yum, and then you wouldn't, but you wouldn't see like there, and it's in some cases, in the case of Puerto Rico in 1995, there was a lot of sightings, and there were a lot of animals in the same general area, I think, that had been killed by this thing, and just something about it is a little bit off.
And even if it were a hoax by men, by men or teenagers, whatever, it doesn't. You hear about those things in Boulder around Halloween. People go after it, but they don't go after entire herds of animals.
Right.
Even then.
Right.
Okay, that's odd.
So
That's
maybe
odd.
maybe there's more than one of these things, these chupacabras, or it's just hops very fast. And like, I can't even imagine how it goes about, slaughtering all these animals.
Well, yes, because I mean, in herd animals, whether it's cows, pigs, sheep, whatever, something gets spooked, the rest of the herd is going to run away.
Right. Exactly.
Why then would it then come, pile them up? And it's kind of what you're describing, I think.
Yeah.
And leave the bodies untouched.
Yeah, it is. That is the mysterious thing about the chupacabras, and that's what makes it a cryptid. What makes it a
so they haven't. Well, you said that they had actual bodies in the U.S. These farmer people.
They may be like coyotes or wolves or a hybrid.
But have they gone in and done the DNA testing?
I think I've seen that they have done some testing and just sort of indeterminate. Like they haven't been able to track it to any one particular species, from what I understand. Just their conclusion is just like unidentified hair. From a hair, taking a hair sample and just coyote, or they'll just say like, oh, it's a coyote with mange, and then they'll leave it at that. But it's like that doesn't go far enough.
Yeah. No. A coyote does not just leave the animal bloodless.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we may never know. We may never know. I don't know. So if you're a cattle rancher,
we may have to head down to someplace,
Mexico, and do some more research. I think is called for. Yeah.
Camera's ready.
Yeah.
Obviously something to maintain the body.
Yeah.
Or you're going to take it out.
Where special equipment will be needed, documentation,
your
film
bare
equipment.
hands, Nigel.
Yeah.
All that is needed is your bare hands.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to be touching these things.
Because the mange is definitely more of a threat than anything. But you would protect me, wouldn't you? Yes, you would.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
Yes. Wonderful.
Well, we have one more cryptid, and it's arguable whether you can even call it a cryptid. I guess I'll let you explain that next, Natty. But we're going to take one last short break, and we'll come right back with our final cryptid of this episode. So stay tuned. SMT is a member of the Travelogue Media Network. If you're enjoying this podcast, consider supporting our work with a purchase from the online shop at Spring. You can find that link in the show notes. And as a special thanks to listeners on International Podcast Day, we're offering a 10% discount on all merch on the online shop through September 30th. Just enter the promo code IPD10 at checkout. Offer expires October 1st.
Okay, Nigel, we are back from break.
All right, I'm excited. Natty, tell us about this next cryptid, or is it?
Is it or isn't it? Yes, that's the question. And it's interesting because this cryptid highlights the point in case about them that they're supposed to be creatures whose existence has yet to be or can't be completely proven. And the Okapi is on a rare list of cryptids because it was once a true cryptid, but then moved to actual species because they literally were undiscovered or considered extinct. Kind of like the Komodo dragon. I don't know if you know them.
Yes.
The Komodos.
They're lovely.
Yes, large lizards that will eat you. So it was once considered a cryptid until 1910 when Lieutenant Stein van Hansbroek caught one and killed one of the giant lizards, but when he brought it back, the people still were not convinced that this was an actual thing. They were like, what is it? It could be an alligator. We don't know.
What will it take to convince them?
It took Douglas Burton coming back with 3 specimens, one of which, again, was dead. But because he brought back 2 other ones that were living and he was able to introduce them into the Bronx Zoo, then people were like, oh, yay, it's really a thing.
It's a thing. If it's in the Bronx Zoo, it's a thing. Yeah. Okay.
I guess you need that accolade in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Once you've made it to the Bronx,
you made it.
You're good. Yeah, you made it as an animal species. So like Komodo.
New York.
Exactly. Now you're right. You're talking now. You're talking my language, right? All right. So like the Komodo, the Okapi is this giraffe zebra thing that literally has the head of a brown giraffe with no spots and like a kind of squish body with the legs and back end of a zebra.
Wait, say that again. Can you say that again?
Yes,
back end.
The back end. It's butt. It's ass. Is the ass of a zebra.
The zebra.
Zebra butt. So they are very unusual looking, and no one believed that they were a real thing until 1901, when enough specimens had been brought back to Europe. They needed a little herd, like a little mini herd, to be convinced that it wasn't just some fluke. Oh, right. Yes, there's like 10 of them. We believe you now.
Yeah.
What it takes to convince people that these things are real is actually kind of it's kind of weird. But although the Okapis were known of through eyewitness accounts and drawings as early as 1887, they were considered just folklore. And some early explorers even described them as deformed donkeys. You know.
They do have aspects of donkeys. Their
body with like a giraffe head.
You just really have to see this thing. It's quite unbelievable.
Okay. Coat of many colors, says Dolly Parton. Anyway, so today these animals can only be found in the wild in the Democratic Republic of the Congo of Central Africa. And apparently the area is so dangerous still to travel in, with the poachers and some of the social issues that kind of plague the area, that have known to plague the area, trying to stop the poachers and the warring. It's still a rare phenomenon to see a wild okapi.
Yeah, you're not gonna go on any Okapi safaris anytime soon, so don't hold your breath. Dangerous. No,
dangerous, Nigel.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and and at one point there were 2 areas in Africa. The other one was they were also native to the Simaluki Valley in Uganda, but there they were completely hunted into extinction. But we're lucky here in the States because there are several zoos that have okapis in their menagerie of animals, and the Denver Zoo is one of them.
Denver. All right, we're going.
Yes.
We're gonna go see one of these things for ourselves, right? You really have to see it to believe it.
You do, and we'll get pictures.
Yeah,
we could get pictures.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture. I still almost don't believe it, but
we will have a picture of us with an okapi. It will.
Okay.
Will come to fruition.
Stay tuned.
Right.
Stay tuned.
Yes. For the world tour of Natty.
Our glorious world tour. You just you wait. Just you wait.
Yes. So, and the Denver Zoo, it's so much fun. But the giraffes, I see, this is one creature that I would not be afraid of, because giraffes, from my experience, are very docile and curious animals.
Mm-hmm. Very curious.
You remember that big albino, that gigantic albino giraffe that was at the Denver Zoo?
I have some vague recollection. I didn't see it. I remember hearing about it.
It was one of my favorite things to see at the Denver Zoo all the time. And the giraffe, he came over because in the winter they put them all inside the giraffe house, as they call it. And the thing was standing there and walked over, and I was like, oh, it's coming closer. Wonderful. Swings its head over the wall, and everybody is now looking at me as if this giraffe is going to eat my face. Because it got
little did you know when you went to the zoo that day.
I was going to get up close and personal.
Store for you.
With a giraffe. And their heads are huge. I didn't realize, because they're so tall. They look all small, right? Just like this giraffe head on this okapi looks like a giraffe head. But, I guess it does look a little bit bigger since the neck is shorter. You really have to see these things, people. But
You
anyway,
really do.
so this thing swings its head over. I'm looking at it, and I can see my reflection in the eyes of these gigantic giraffe eyes with their long eyelashes. And yes, they're very long. And at first, I was like, all right, this is cool. You know, yes, I would like to pet you. Until its tongue came out. And I think it was trying to lick my face.
Were you frightened?
I don't know.
Was it frightening?
A little bit, because it was this big black tongue the size of my arm. And my arm was...
it was black?
Yes.
Really?
It was like this. I could even see, it was so close. I could see the texture
Oh my God.
of this tongue in my face.
Giraffe tongue in your face.
My face.
And you're how old at this point? You're still...
I was 17 years old.
Okay.
I was 17. And this... Yeah, and I didn't, I would have let it lick me, but then I didn't know if they're like dogs, and, you don't want dogs licking your face for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So there was a moment. It was a moment in time.
Yeah. So
For
giraffe licking is, it's uncharted territory.
It was a big tongue. But it didn't eat my face. And so I feel like, if we did see an okapi, we would not have to worry about it like, say, the chupacabras, which, again, there's another animal. Or not chupacabras, but the Tasmanian tigers. Oh,
Okay.
I didn't even mention that. That's what was my whole point in all of this roundabout way, was that you have these cryptids that start out as a cryptid, become an actual species. Sometimes you have species that become cryptids because they could become extinct, much like the Tasmanian tiger. But on CNN, as early as August, they came out with a report saying, hey, we think we've seen the Tasmanian tigers. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're like these wolf, fox, cat, zebra things. Again, with the zebras, I think the zebras are running amok in the animal kingdom.
What are the zebras doing?
What are they doing that their stripes are all over, right?
They're all over the place.
Those, yes, they are. And the last known Tasmanian tiger was, what is that? The I cannot remember. Thylacine.
Thylacine. Yep. One of those scenes. If you're on the scene, you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. And at least their stripes are not on their butt. But but the last
What's wrong with stripes
one
on your butt? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I guess they're only just wanting to protect their ass.
I guess that's really ultimately what it's about.
Let's camouflage our butts, everybody.
Yeah,
we can
defense.
blend
it's
in
a
with our
defense
heads.
mechanism. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
But the last living one died out in 1936, and because they are now they have become a mythical creature. Really, they have. If they get reintroduced because somebody had one hiding away in their basement because they wanted to save the Tasmanian tigers.
Oh no!
It could happen. It could happen. But,
say it ain't so.
But anyway, and then all of a sudden now they're just releasing them everywhere.
Release the hounds.
Release.
Is that what's going on? It's like some sort of mad scientist experiment, or what?
Well, take a look at the Tasmanian tiger, and then take a look at your chupacabras.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, maybe what people are seeing are not chupacabras. Maybe they are Tasmanian tigers with mange. You mentioned mange, and then you have something that has come out of extinction. Thus, back and forth. I think there's a gray area as to when an animal can become a cryptid or come out of cryptidhood.
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 Yes. You thought you had seen The Last of Us, but we're coming back. We're coming back into legit species. We're legit. We're coming back, and we are hungry. We might want to eat you. We might.
They might.
With giraffes, in the case of okapis, I'm convinced.
No, they're
I'm not,
like.
I don't feel threatened.
No, not at all. See,
Yeah.
but the existence of the Okapi is so representative of the idea that while cryptozoology is considered by many a fluff, non-science-based school of theory, it really isn't.
It's legit.
Cryptozoology is a full science fact research. It's based on these things and much less science fiction than people actually label it.
Cryptozoology is legit, people. Come on. Legit.
It is.
It's legit.
It's for real.
So legit.
Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
We're just keeping it real.
And it's been so real. And we could go on and on and on about all kind of cryptids.
Because there's so many.
There is an encyclopedia of cryptids, and you have a copy of this, as I
do have
understand.
it. I do. It is literally the Encyclopedia of Cryptozoology, a global guide.
Yeah.
So it covers all things around the world by Michael Newton.
So
it is our Bible.
It's legit. It's not fluff. There's tons of these animals that some we can explain a little bit about, and some others we have no idea really. So I don't know. But so stay tuned for if you're interested in these animals and other paranormal subjects, you're going to want to stay tuned to our podcast, SMT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And look for show notes to all the links, photos, and articles of cryptids mentioned in this episode, and strap yourselves in for our next installment, because we're going to be setting sail for all things ghost adventuring just in time for Halloweeny.
Well, we hope you'll join us for that episode, and but please, whatever you do not subscribe, share on your favorite social media platforms and podcasting platforms. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
We're not going to have it.
No, you just need to need to stay tuned, right?
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Listen up.
That's right. You said it.
Listen up.
All right. So Natty, I think we're out, right? Are we out?
Are we out? Sure.
All right, we're out.
Dance our fannies off.
We can dance like okapis. We can leave our friends behind. Because if your friends don't dance like okapis, then no friends of mine.
Of mine either. None.
All right. Peace, y'all.
We're out.